Okay. So my name is Bitcoin Mike. I'm going to be your host tonight. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to come hear about this Cryptex DeFi hybrid contract overview. It is changing people's lives. The next voice you're going to be hearing from, it's going to be doing the presentation, is Coach Brian. Coach Brian has been involved in the direct sales and network distribution industries for the last 30 years. In that time, he has consistently built massive teams and developed a great deal of expertise in the technology, health and wellness, and cryptocurrency fields. His reputation as a coach, trainer, and comp plan developer has led to several companies recruiting him as an executive level consultant. In that capacity, he has spent the last decade plus developing teams in North America, South America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and Asia, helping them facilitate the sales of more than $1 billion in products and services. So he is very, very knowledgeable in this space, and he's got a lot he's going to deliver. So look, take a minute, get a pen and paper, and get to a quiet place so you can take notes. And Coach Brian, are you there?
I'm here, Mike. Can you hear me clear, sir?
Loud and clear, my brother. Take it away.
Fantastic, man. Well, thanks so much for getting this all set up, man, and continuing with your leadership and doing the things you're doing publicly as well as behind the scenes to kind of get us this forward momentum that we've been able to achieve here in just a couple of short months, man. It's been an amazing journey already. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the opportunity to share this with everyone tonight. And guys, I hope you listen to Mike, man. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I've been told I say a lot and I say it fast, but it's always because I want to be respectful of your time. But I want to make sure you have a chance to write down any questions so you can get them resolved here at the end and then make an informed business decision. Guys, the first thing I want to say, though, is listen, I always want to make it clear that neither myself nor Mike nor anybody else who invited you here is an owner of Cryptex or an officer of Cryptex. None of us are. We're simply people like you who got exposed to this information just a short time ago, looked at it, did our own research, went out and evaluated it to the best of our abilities. But after we looked at it, we determined that it made sense for us. We were able to find a lot of proof. I'm going to share it with you here in just a few minutes that actually satisfied us. And then we decided that it's fit into our risk tolerance category, especially when you look at what the returns were possible. So I want you to do the same, guys. Do your own evaluation and just decide if it makes sense for you and your family. What I'm going to share with you is simple. 3 things. One is the Cryptex offer. Who is Cryptex? What is it that they do? Why should you care, right? Why did somebody ask you to be on this webinar tonight? I'm going to show you that. And I promise you that once you really understand Cryptex offer, you're going to have a moment where you're going to say, man, this can't be real, right? That was the first thing we all thought when we saw it, which is why we did so much research. So I'm going to share that research with you. And then after you're satisfied that it's an incredible offer and that it's real, you're going to probably start thinking about some other people who could benefit from this right away, your family group, your friend group, potentially some other people in your community. So we're going to show you how, if you want to go out and share that with them for building the Cryptex community, there are some instantaneous rewards on you for the table, on the table for you that you can get right away. So let's start by talking about this. Imagine for a second, you're driving down the street, you see this billboard, right, in your town. It says bank loans, 30 grand or 40 grand, guaranteed approval. We're not going to check your credit, not going to check your job history. We don't even care what your name is. Don't even bring your ID. If you have a $100 processing fee, you're going to walk out with 30 grand or 40 grand. Who's in? Guys, if you drove down to that bank, your local bank, you'd see a line that stretched across the horizon, people waving their $100 bills excited. But if you came back a couple of months later, that bank would probably be out of business because let's face it, if they gave out 30 or 40 grand to everybody with $100 and they didn't even check to see who those people actually are, most of those people might never show back up to give those funds back to the bank or pay them their interest. But what I'm going to share with you here for the next several minutes is how Cryptex actually was able to take many of the higher level elements from this. As crazy as this sounds, they took those elements, but they did it in such a way that they were pretty much guaranteeing that everyone would be in position to win. So I'm going to share that with you here in a second. But first, let me start off by talking to you about who Cryptex really is. They're this community-based project utilizing a DeFi staking protocol. They've got partnerships with banks, insurance companies, and account holders, where they set it up so that we can all profit. They do this with this unique DeFi hybrid contract consisting of two parts, a smart contract and a decentralized Oracle network. They have over 800,000 account holders worldwide right now, and even though you might just be hearing about them now for the first time, they're not new. They've been around since 2016. Now, if you don't know what staking is, that's okay. It's just a simple process of keeping your crypto assets, in this case Bitcoin, locked up for a contractual period of time so you can generate passive income. The locked assets protect the network's ability to generate profits, and as a reward, the staker / participant, guys, that's us, we get returns, daily returns with Cryptex. And this is similar to getting a CD from your bank. The longer you let your bank keep your money in a CD, the better the interest rate for you. Same exact principle here with Cryptex. Now, what they've done that's unique, though, is they've created this 4-part profit partnership. When everybody does their part, everybody wins. For your part, you're going to create a free account with Cryptex using only an email address and password. You're going to pay that $100 processing fee for each DeFi staking contract that you want, and you're going to decide if you want your contract's length to be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years before it matures. I'll show you the value of the maturity here in just a moment. You can get up to about 80 of these contracts. Now, for the bank's part, they're going to make a loan or loans directly to the staking contract on your behalf for every single smart contract that you get. Now, the loans are going to be $30,240 each for the 2 and 3 year contracts that you decide to pick, or $43,200 for the 5 and 7 year contracts. For their part, again, the bank receives 5.5 to 6.75% interest annually on each and every loan that they make, and then they're going to get back their initial loan capital back before you get to touch anything at the end. Now, an insurance company kind of steps in and removes the final risk from the bank. They say, listen, we're going to insure the staking wallet, that's Cryptex, against catastrophic loss or default, simply meaning that if anything happens to Cryptex for any reason at all, we guarantee you, Mr. or Mrs. Banker, that you're going to get back all of your initial loan capital. For their part, the insurance company gets back $210 or $300 per month per contract, right? That's why they're doing it. And again, they're removing all of the risk from the bank. And then finally, the smart contract. They calculate your daily profits, 0.1 to 0.3% micro compounded every single day. They're also going to pay the bank its annual interest as well as the initial loan capital back. And the smart contract also pays the insurance company its monthly premiums. After all of that is done, at the end, when everybody else has been paid back, the smart contract then will assign the remaining profits to you, which is why you're doing this. And you're going to have the option to pick either a 2 year, a 3 year, a 5 year, they do it in months here, or a 7 year contract. You can also pick one of these bonus packs where it says hybrid pack here, 24 month or 36 month, where if you pay $1,000, which would normally be enough to cover 10 contracts, they'll give you 5 bonus contracts. And I'm going to show you just how valuable those bonus contracts can be. Now, let's talk about this in terms of the returns so you can understand what's on the table for you. You know, if you decide that you want a 2 year contract, remember, you're going to pay a $100 processing fee no matter what term you pick. It's just about how long you want to stake for and what you want that initial loan amount to be. If you pick the 2 year contract, say, hey, I want to get back profits as quickly as possible. For that 2 year contract, you pay a $100 processing fee. Cryptex is going to receive a $30,240 loan on your behalf from the bank. They will then micro compound based off of that $30,000 plus amount starting in about 24 to 48 hours. And over 2 years of the micro compounding, taking out the money for the insurance company, taking out the annual interest from the bank, and then at the end giving back the bank their initial 30 grand back, what's left over after all of that for you and your family is about $22,000, which is an incredible return, but we're just getting started. For the 3 year staking term, which gives you more compounding over that additional year, same loan amount, same $100 processing fee for you, but now about 35 grand for you and your family. For the 5 year contract, they're going to give a bigger loan, about 50% bigger, $43,200, about 471 grand left for you and your family. And for the 7 year contract, 1.5 million. So we're talking about an insane amount of money. Now, what it's going to look like for you is simple. Once a contract is selected in your back office and the $100 processing fee is paid, the appropriate loan amount is instantly paid to the staking contract. You can see that here. This person selected a 3-year contract. Right away, they paid the $100 processing fee. They could see the $30,240 loaned into the staking pool on their behalf. Within 24 to 48 hours, they saw the staking start happening and they saw their profits start adding up. And that's going to happen every day for the next 3 years. Everybody gets paid all along the way. The profits are used to pay the insurance company, the bank, etc. And then when that's all said and done, this becomes unlocked and they get to keep everything that's left over, which would be about 35 grand. Now, I know for most people, when they get to this part, it's always the same question. Come on, this can't be real, right? I mean, there's not a person on the planet who wouldn't pay $100 up front to get back $22,000, $35,000, $471,000, or $1.5 million, right? There's not a person who wouldn't do that if it was real. We thought exactly the same thing, so we went out and we did our research. And one of the best things about having a project that's been around since 2016 is you can find people who've already been paid in the project and who made a decision years ago, and you can see what's worked out for them. This gentleman right here, there was a snapshot that was taken of his back office, and he was showing that he made a decision in 2020 to become a part of Cryptex. 3 years later, now it's 2023. January 10th of 2023, as his contract started to mature, he was able to take out $98,800 on January 10th of 2023. 1 day later, guys, he took out $89,000 worth of Bitcoin 1 day later. On March 15th, so 2 months later, he took out $100,000. March 18th, another $100,000. March 20th, $112,000. March 21st, another $100,000. You add all of that up, and that's more money than some people are making in 5 to 10 years of working a full-time job. He was able to do these withdrawals simply because 3 years earlier, he made the determination to go get some of these contracts from Cryptex. This other gentleman here, his name is Mo. He actually recorded the entire process and documented it. I took some screenshots from his recording just so I could share them here in the presentation. But what he showed was the level of detail. And you all see this in your back office. Every single contract you get, it breaks down everything. What the monthly fee is, what the platform fee is, what the interest is that's going to be paid to the banks every year. But in this case, it showed he got 2 of these contracts. He got them on November 20th of 2020. You can see it shows the actual contract end date, November 21st of 2023, exactly 3 years later. And then it showed from there what happened on November 21st, 2023. Exactly on that day, he received an email from Cryptex support saying, "Hey, Mo, come get your dough," right? And he said, "Mo, listen, you went out on November 20th, 2020. You got these 2 contracts. The result is they've now closed out. The amount in the loan is the amount in the wallet is $501,000. After some end user fees, $485,000. We needed to give back the bank their initial capital, which was $43,200 times 2, right? So $86,400 back to the bank. That leaves $398,745.68 for you. Please make arrangements to withdraw this as quickly as possible to your own wallet." Okay, so here's the $398,000 and change that they deposited into Mo's back office in Cryptex. Mo then hit withdraw, and here's Mo showing us, this is time lapse, right? But he's showing us when the crypto actually hit into his non-custodial wallet. He's showing us by logging into his cell phone, and you can see that Mo received that about a 4% withdrawal fee. He got $388,653.68 of Bitcoin, 10.597 Bitcoin. And that's what it was worth, about 389 grand back in November of 2023. Most of you know, if you follow Bitcoin, that today Bitcoin is worth about $118,000, guys. So that same 10.597 Bitcoin would be about $1.2 million today. I don't know if Mo held this Bitcoin or not. It's not my business. That's Mo's business. But again, it's one of the points I want to point out to you. We're not being paid in dollars. We're being paid in Bitcoin, which is an appreciable asset. It's liquid. You can liquefy it into cash anytime you want to, but you can also hold it and have the value go up like it did for Mo there. The other thing we did, though, is is we went and we looked at the blockchain. That's the greatest thing about dealing with a blockchain-based project is we know the blockchain is transparent, secure, and public, but we also know that the blockchain can't be faked. So as people started to receive payments from Cryptex, we simply looked at the wallets that the payments came from to see exactly what type of payments Cryptex was putting out into the community. First wallet that we saw was this one. You can see the wallet ID number here, guys. Cryptex had actually in this wallet, they had paid out $52 billion. You can see the total received into the wallet, $52,682,588,662, and they sent that right out. This is just a clearinghouse wallet. People said, hey, we want to withdraw. They said, great. They sent the money to this clearinghouse wallet, sent the person an email saying, hey, your money's there. You can withdraw it at this point. And people were able to withdraw that money right away. This is what it looks like. All these green arrows is Cryptex putting the money in from their different staking platforms. The red arrow is the money going out. That was requested from the different account holders. So here's a red arrow, $6.9 million withdrawn to account holders. Another red arrow, 451,000. Another red arrow, 4.99 million. Another one, $5 million. This was just one page, the first page on May 13th, 2025. But guys, there were pages and pages of this stuff. Here's another wallet in case that one wasn't big enough for you. 189,000 times this is transacted on the Bitcoin blockchain. But look at this number that Cryptex had paid out through this wallet. 516 billion, 241,580,691. That was paid out through this particular Cryptex payment wallet. Again, I've found several more wallets since as I've done my own withdrawals. But guys, I'll tell you something. This is an insane amount of money being paid out to the account holders from the Cryptex platform. Now, the next elephant in the room, first time I showed this to a friend of mine, he's very skeptical. He said, listen, man, this is incredible. I know the blockchain. I know that the blockchain can't be fake. So clearly Cryptex is paying out billions of dollars. But how do we know it's not just still a $100 Ponzi scheme that's allowed them to pay out these billions of dollars? And I said, I'm glad you asked that question because we can simply do some math to prove that out. So Cryptex has about 800,000 members. Let's say we round that up to 900,000 and we multiply that by the $100 processing fee. That gives you 90 million. Now, if every single person who ever joined Cryptex, all of these members, right, had gone out and gotten all 80 contracts that they could, that would be 90 million times 80 contracts, would give you a total of $7.2 billion. Quick question. I just showed you two Cryptex payment wallets. The smaller one had paid out $52 billion. If this was a Ponzi scheme and the only thing that Cryptex had ever taken in was $7.2 billion, where did the other $45 billion come from that they had already paid out? Guys, the only way it would make sense is if they were doing what we said that they were doing, which is that ultimately every $100 was then simply representing a loan that was coming in from a bank of 30 grand or 40 grand that was compounding daily and creating explosive profits. That's where the $45 billion would come from. Now, if that makes sense to you and you start to understand just how powerful this platform is, you're probably starting to think, man, not only can I use some of these contracts, I could help to change the lives of all the people that I care about as well. And if you want to do that, there's additional compensation that's paid out instantly for you if you want to do that, guys. Here's the instantaneous compensation with this part of the referral program right here. What Cryptex has said is, listen, the $100 processing fee, every time that it's paid, we're going to take it and we're going to chop it into this 10 levels of compensation. Here's what that means. If you went out and I was a friend of yours and you referred me to Cryptex, then I'm what's called your level 1 because I'm a personal referral. So as a personal referral, if I went out and ordered one Cryptex contract and I paid my $100 processing fee, it doesn't matter if it was a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, or 7-year, I paid the $100 processing fee, you would earn $30 in Bitcoin right away when I did that. Now, if I went out and got 10, you would earn $300 in Bitcoin. If I went out and got 50, guys, you start to get the message. You're going to earn for every single Cryptex contract that I purchase, you're going to get 30% of that purchase. Now, if I then told my good friend Bitcoin Mike about it, Mike would be your second level because he's referred by me, which means every contract that Mike orders, you would get $5 from that. and so on and so on and so on through a maximum of 10 levels. Because the only question we thought that we wanted to ask was what would be reasonable for the average person. How many people do you think the average person might refer to Cryptex? You know, for us, it was big numbers. We were like hundreds, thousands, right? But what if you only referred 3 people? If you referred 3 who referred 3, you'd still end up with a pretty big team of referrals. And if all of those people only got 10 contracts each, guys, look at the math. You'd earn hundreds, then thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and eventually millions of dollars just from this 10-level payout. Remember, this is above and beyond. This is instant compensation that you would get while you were still waiting for your contracts to mature in 2, 3, 5, or 7 years. Now, that was front-end compensation. Let's talk about back-end compensation if you built the team. Because remember, from that screen, I just said, hey, if you refer 3, refer 3. Well, by the time you got down to your 5th level, you had 243 referrals, 2,430 contracts, right? They all got 10. And at 4% on that on the front end, 4% of $100 is $4. You made $9,720. However, let's say these were 3-year contracts, guys. When these 3-year contracts matured, on the other end, you're going to get paid again, back-end compensation, once the contracts actually matured. And your percentage on the back end, again, here it's for the level 5, it's 4%, but it's not 4% of $100. It's 4% of the payout value of the contract. Remember, 3-year contracts are paying out at $35,000 times 4%. That's $1,400, and you wouldn't get it once. In this case, you'd be getting $1,400 for all 2,430 of those contracts. That's $3.4 million paid out to you. When you look back at the blockchain evidence that we showed you, you saw 6 million going out, 4 million going out, 5 million going out. All of a sudden, you can understand how one person could be getting paid millions of dollars in a day from Cryptex, because it's just based off of this. It's based off of going out and sharing and showing other people how to share, and these back-end payouts and how significant they can be. Finally, for those of you that are leaders or that have a big social media following or like to go out there and network, we've got a great opportunity for you to qualify for what they call their leader bonus. If you can personally refer 100 people who get 1 Cryptex contract or more, then you do that. And at the time that you do that, you end up with 1,000 contracts and more throughout your entire team. You will qualify for their leader bonus. Right away, you'll get a $5,000 bonus. But then after that, they're going to track your top 2 levels every 30 days. And as long as 100 new contracts are coming in on your top 2 levels, not 100 new people, 100 new contracts. It could be the same referrals, just ordering another contract or 2 that month. As long as it's 100 total, they're going to pay you an additional $5 through infinity for every single contract that comes on your team. Guys, on the 7th level, from the example we did before, we said you earned $3 per contract. That ended up being 65 grand on this level. If you had hit the leader bonus by the time you got to this level, you would not only get that $3 per contract for 65 grand, you get another $5 for each one of those contracts, so an additional $109,000. And remember, this isn't through 7 levels or 10 levels. Now that you hit the leader bonus, they'll pay you that extra $5 through infinity. So for 20 levels, 50 levels, 100 levels. And even if you can't get 100 contracts coming in on your first 2 levels, guys, if you can get 50, they'll pay you a $2 bonus through infinity. If you can get 20, they'll pay you a $1 bonus through infinity. We wanted to show you what that looked like in a real case study. So we found one of Cryptex's account holders that had been around for 3 years and 3 months at the time that they let us take this snapshot. And we wanted to show you what was in their back office so you can see just how explosive this could be. 3 years and 3 months in, they had $7.6 million in their locked stake profits, right? That was $4.7 million that was staking and growing every single day on their personal contracts. But it was also $2.8 million, we call it rewards referral staking, on their team contracts. And this was growing every single day. Remember, some of their contracts were 3 years at this time, some were 5 years, some were 7 years. So this was going to continue to grow in some cases for another 4 years or so, which means this number could go to 10, 15, $20 million or more over time before the money was being released to them. Now, for their unlocked profits, which means the instant profits that they were getting and able to put into their pocket through withdrawal right away, they made $2.1 million, guys, $584,000, right, that they made for the 10-level referral program. Somewhere along the journey, they hit the leader bonus. So now they were getting the rewards for the leader program, $912,000. So $1.5 million just from those two ways of being paid. Once they got to their 3-year mark, a few of the contracts in their team opened up. That's the rewards referral staking. Their overrides were $289,000, and they had 4 of their own contracts that matured so far, right? They got $316,000 from those contracts. Add it all up, you've got $2.1 million in 3 years and 3 months, with another $7.6 million and counting coming to them, and they're still just getting started. Guys, you understand that's an insane amount of money to generate with the Cryptex program in just a few years. And again, we've got people on our team right now who are going to shatter these numbers over the next few years. Guys, the final elephant in the room that I always want to cover is, why is this anonymous? People say, yeah, well, if Cryptex is so proud of what they're doing and they're so excited about all the money they're paying out, why are they anonymous? Why don't they tell us who all the banks and insurance companies are and who other people are like you and your social security number and et cetera, et cetera? And I want to give you a quick history lesson, because I got this right away, but I know a lot of people don't study crypto history, but I really did. And here's a quick history lesson about Bitcoin and why anonymous. You know, everybody knows Bitcoin is amazing, but a lot of people don't remember how it got started. And it was based on this free market ideology, and it was invented in 2008 when an unknown entity published a white paper under the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, pseudonym simply means that wasn't their real name. In fact, most people agree it was a group of developers, not just one person, but they know why they did it because they told people why they did it. And they created Bitcoin because they were pissed. You know, back in 2008 is when the housing collapse happened. You know, people lost their homes, their life savings. This happened almost overnight. A lot of people couldn't deal with the financial pressure. They ended up committing suicide and losing their lives. And later they found out that the banking industry knew. They knew it was going to happen, and they didn't tell anyone, even though it almost destroyed the global financial system. And you would think there would be some sort of punishment for that, right? For actually causing something like that happen. You know what the punishment was? They got bailed out by U.S. taxpayer dollars. And with some of those bailouts, they gave some of these bankers bonuses for almost wrecking the planet. Guys, it was at this point a lot of people got pissed. These people, though, they did something about it. They said that was it. We're no longer going to be dependent. We don't trust them. We're not going to be dependent upon them. We're going to create something new called Bitcoin, and it's going to be the people's money on a blockchain, completely transparent, can't be fake, can't be tampered with, where the people could agree on this store of value. And guys, when Bitcoin first came out in 2009, well, it was a little bit of a joke. At 0.003, everybody was kind of laughing about it. But just 2 short years later, nobody was laughing anymore, because Bitcoin achieved price parity with the US dollar. 1 Bitcoin, $1. Today, Bitcoin is over $115,000, $16,000, $17,000, $18,000 per Bitcoin. This represents the greatest growth return of any asset in American, not just American, but in human history, I should say. And guys, that's absolutely incredible when you think about that. As a result of this growth and this success of Bitcoin, there are now over 25,000 cryptocurrencies with a combined market cap of $3.3 trillion. There's over 172,000 crypto millionaires, a few hundred centimillionaires, and almost 30 crypto billionaires as a result of Bitcoin that drove all of this growth. Now, I want you to think about something for a second. With $3.3 trillion being moved out of the banks and into digital wallets that aren't controlled by the banks, and the banks can't profit from them, do you think the banks are happy about that? Of course they're not. Guys, they're not in the business of seeing money leave the institutions. And I'll tell you something for a fact. If they knew the identity of the developers behind Satoshi Nakamoto, if they knew who they were, there's no question that as they started seeing millions and then eventually billions, they wouldn't have waited for trillions. When they started seeing millions of dollars being moved out of the banking system in the cryptocurrency, they would have tried to decimate the reputation of Satoshi Nakamoto. They said, oh, they're a bad person. They do horrible things. Don't be involved in anything they're doing. They're creepy, etc. Because it would have been the only way they could stop the outflow of all of this. They would have strangled Bitcoin in its infancy. because they didn't know who these people were. They couldn't do anything but watch. The anonymity, guys, it's a feature. It's not a bug. And as a result, because of the anonymity of the banks, the insurance companies, the smart contract creators, and us, for our benefit, we're able to actually watch Cryptex operate completely uninterrupted and participate in one of the largest wealth creation vehicles in history. It's simple. If you like what you see, you get your questions answered as soon as possible, because the clock is ticking. The sooner you buy one of these contracts, the sooner that countdown day is on for you to get your payouts. And this is what these payouts look like. Again, 22, 35, 471, or 1.5 million. If you get this bonus pack, you'll get 5 extra contracts. 15 of these 2-year contracts is 330 grand. 15 of these 3-year contracts is 525 grand. You decide what creates the best mix for you and your family. Remember, you can get up to a total of 80 of these contracts. Guys, with that said, I just want to say I appreciate you being here. Listen, if this makes sense, get back to the person who invited you, get your questions answered, and then develop a plan for you and your family. And if you decide to join us here in Cryptex, let me be the first to say welcome to the team, welcome to the family. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to helping you achieve your goals. And then I look forward to celebrating your success along with the rest of the team. Thanks so much for being here, guys. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we look forward to working with you here in the near future. See you again soon.
Mm-hmm.